Swansea City have announced a one-week boycott of social media in a stand against abuse and discrimination online, becoming the first club to take this level of action against abuse. From 5 o'clock, the club, players and staff will not post on any channel for the next 7 days. Let's speak to our reporter, Craig Stater, who's joined us on set for more. So, what have Swansea had to say about this decision, first of all, Craig?
Well, is this a watershed moment in the fight against online abuse, against online racial hatred? It feels that way. This is unprecedented for a football club, for a recent Premier League club, a club which could be a Premier League club again next season, to desist from all social media activity for a period of 7 days, and not just at a quiet time, maybe during the international break or something like that, but a period covering two important games in their run-in against Millwall and against Sheffield Wednesday as well next week. All told, Swansea have somewhere in excess of 4 million followers on various platforms. If you look at both their playing staff, the management and club platforms as well. It will come at something of a cost to the club. The fact that they're coming off social media for this period, hard to quantify, but a cost nonetheless. And they say they've done this with the support of their sponsors and with the support of the EFL as well. And additionally, Swansea Chief Executive Julian Winter is going to be writing to both Jack Dorsey, who's the boss of Twitter, and to Mark Zuckerberg, who's the founder of Facebook and Instagram, of course, to require, as he says, more stringent policing of these social media platforms. That's what they want. We've seen Thierry Henry come off social media, now a significant club. I suppose the question is, will this method gather momentum if change doesn't come?
I mean, you said a significant club, a significant move. How have we got to this point, though, Craig?
Well, Swansea are a particular case, aren't they? They've had 3 players now racially abused online over the past 7 weeks. Jan Danda in February, Ben Kabanga after a Wales international in March, and then Jamal Lowe after the game with Birmingham on Friday. But the Jan Danda episode felt significant. Facebook didn't close the abuser's account. They said at the time, we think it's important that people have the opportunity to learn from their mistakes. Swansea talked of being shocked and surprised by the leniency that Facebook demonstrated at that point. And is there still a feeling within football that these major social media platforms are not yet doing enough to combat online racism? Liverpool this week talked of supporting their players who'd been abused, racially abused online, but they said, this was Liverpool, saying we know this will not be enough until the strongest possible preventative measures are taken by the social media platforms. And as Thierry Henry, who's done a Swansea himself in effect by coming off social media, expressed what's in a sense a common feeling throughout football when he said, I will be removing myself from social media until the people in power are able to regulate their platforms with the same vigour and ferocity as they do when you infringe copyright. Yeah, exactly. It does seem that the finger is being pointed very squarely at those social media companies and indeed those who regulate them. What have the social media companies themselves had to say? Well, this news is only just broken, so we have tried to contact Facebook, Twitter as well, some of the leading platforms. We have had a response pretty quickly from Facebook, who've told us this, and I'll read what their spokesperson has said. They've said, we don't want discriminatory abuse on Instagram, on Facebook. We share the goal of tackling it and want to hold people who share it accountable. We do this by taking action on content and accounts that break the rules and cooperating with law enforcement when we receive a valid legal request. And they point out that they did take action on those 3 social media accounts who abused the Swansea players I mentioned earlier. They've also said that we recently announced we'll take tougher action when we become aware of people breaking our rules in direct messages, and we have built tools to help protect people, including the ability to never receive a direct message from someone you don't follow. They go on to say the work is ongoing and we are committed to doing more. But then they qualify that by saying this, perhaps, we also know these problems are bigger than us. So we are working with the industry, government and others to collectively drive societal change through action and education. And it seems there's a red line for the social media platforms. in terms of requiring some form of verified ID to be required before setting up an account. Twitter said in February, "We believe everyone has the right to share their voice without requiring government ID to do so." But the government are also monitoring this closely as well. Just finally, the online harms bill will come to Parliament this year, come before Parliament, and that will require the tech companies to treat online abuse the same as if it occurred in the streets or if it occurred potentially in football stadiums. And the UK government has spoken of large fines, potentially up to billions of pounds, for the tech companies if they fall foul of this new legislation. By the way, we'll be hearing from Steve Cooper, the Swansea manager, in the next hour.
OK, fantastic, Craig. Thank you very much for bringing us up to date with that. I do wonder whether any of those positions might change as a result of what Swansea are doing, and if others indeed follow their lead. Thank you, Craig. So Swansea say that they have the support of the EFL and sponsors in the decision. And as Craig mentioned, social media absence covering games against Millwall on Saturday and Sheffield Wednesday next Tuesday. And let's just recap some of those figures that Craig told us about. Swansea have over 1 million followers on Twitter and Facebook on their official pages. They also have 385,000 followers on their Instagram profile. Yes, Facebook own Instagram as well. And combined, the first team squad have over 2.25 million followers on Facebook and Instagram. We've put together a selected 11 of some of the squad's most followed players. Have a look at, well, striker Andre Ayew. He has more than 1 million followers alone.